Hey, so welcome back. I know I haven't been uploading as much as I should, but I've been working on some pretty cool stuff in the meantime. I've had some health and life updates that I've been working on. I also have a bunch of gear that's kind of late, but still coming in. That's kind of delayed some of the process. But that's neither here nor there. Just want to talk about how I'm going to do my fabric walls and how I go about doing my acoustic treatment. So let's get this camera turned around and I'll show you what I'm working on. So here is the right side of the room, practically framed out all the way with track and wood. I'm still waiting on some more material to come in so I can finish the rest of the room. But I do want to show you what's going on here. So we do have 1/2-inch wood that's attached to the wall using toggle bolts, and the track, which is using industrial staples to be secure to the wood. The reason you want this to be so secure and you don't want it to come out is when you tuck that fabric in to those cracks, you don't want to pull it off. You can do drywall, but you might have a more difficult time because drywall is a bit soft and you might pull out the track when you start tucking in the fabric. So to show you the fabric and what's going on here, I'll just get the camera turned around and show you what I'm working on. Okay, so here we have a semi-finished section of the fabric wall. Again, it's not really a fabric panel, but really an entire wall when everything's done. It's really important to get a high quality fabric when you do this, because it's not like doing an individual panel. You need something strong and sturdy to do an entire wall with. And another thing that I really like, and it's kind of adds some challenges, is the pattern in here. You do want to make sure you're not stretching it one way or the other, or that the pattern isn't level all the way across. Having high quality fabric really helps ease that process. And again, what I can show you is how durable this stuff is. I'm not afraid of vacuuming it. I don't think it's going to be pulled out of the track. I mean, I can press it all the way. I can slam my shoulder into it, rub up against it, and it can be cleaned with a vacuum and a cleaning cloth. Again, it's legitimately like twice as expensive as some of even like the higher quality fabrics that you might get from Acoustic. But again, it's super durable. It's 95% acoustically transparent, and I don't ever have to really worry about someone bumping into it or pulling it out of the track. So get good track and get good fabric. I also wanted to show you guys the benefit of going with fabric walls when it comes to light absorption. These are both gray walls, and they're actually almost exactly the same color when they're in light. But you can see how much more light absorbent the fabric is compared to the wall. Now this wall color is as flat as I could possibly get it from the paint store. So there's no sheen, there's no eggshell or anything, but still, side-by-side comparison, you can see how much more light absorbent this material is. And it's the same downlight that's practically in the center between the two walls, but you can just tell how much more indirect lighting this absorbs. All right, so I figured I'd show you guys how I go about running my wire. Now previously, I cut out a large section of the room and ran wire behind the drywall in between the studs. And that was, not necessarily safest, it's not the cleanest process to do, but for retrofit, fabric walls are just perfect. As you can see, I've left a few gaps here for the wire to slip right underneath it. This is a lot cleaner, a lot safer, and it's really good for retrofits. Thought I'd show you guys how I'm gonna do my acoustic treatment in this room. You've probably noticed that this isn't the deepest section for acoustic treatment to be behind. That is by design. I did not want to cut into my room all that deep, and I didn't want to sacrifice my screen size so that I can get deeper acoustic treatment. The way I go about solving that, at least for my absorption, is to cut a hole in the wall, seal it thermally and acoustically with mass-loaded vinyl and quiet rock, and then stuff it with insulation. So when I put this frame on and have my insulation in front of it, there'll actually be about 4 inches of acoustic treatment behind this fabric. I would recommend, if you are a DIYer and you do not have cable and infrastructure training like I have or certification, hire somebody who's a professional and is insured. This is not necessarily a recommended practice, and I doubt most shops will do that for you. So just be safe, bite the bullet and pay someone who is professional and insured to do it for you. So the last thing I wanted to talk about is my goals for this room acoustically and how I go about achieving that. One of the things that I think absolutely makes or breaks a room is having a good RT60 time. And that's basically how long it takes for a signal to decay in your room before it's no longer noticeable. Now, too high of a decay, it sounds like an opera house, or kind of sounds like how it does now with no acoustic treatment. And too low, it's basically a dead room or a recording studio. One of the things that I think is really popular amongst the DIYers and not so much the professionals is, doing a slap echo test or calling it out and saying, oh, I can't hear anything. Diffusion and absorption and actually hard surfaces are all parts that make a good home theater sound. So how you achieve a good calculated RT60 time is by calculating it. Now you can use this formula in front of you here and spend all day trying to figure it out. Or you can do what people who know a lot more than I do have taught me. And that's basically to use 12% absorption and 12% diffusion in your room. And for most rooms, that is going to dial it in. In this room, I'm gonna actually break that a little bit, and I'll tell you why. So I'm gonna get this camera turned around and show you what my goal is. As I showed you before, I'm going to have absorption right here, and then over next to it, I'm going to have two-dimensional diffusion here, with some damping top and below it. And then this pattern's gonna keep going, so we're gonna have absorption, and then two-dimensional diffusion, and then some absorption up here and below. That's because right here, this kind of triangle shape causes some nasty reflections, and actually this room is over decayed compared to being too absorbent. Another thing we're gonna do here is there's gonna be a combo panel of absorption and diffusion here, and then full three-dimensional diffusion right here. Good rule of thumb is ahead of your main listening position to have two-dimensional diffusion, and as it goes behind you, transition into full three-dimensional, along with absorption. So that pattern is going to be interlocked on this side of the room. So I haven't framed this side out yet or sanded it down, but there's going to be the inverse of what's on that room. So where I have diffusion, I'm going to have absorption, and where I have absorption, I'm going to have diffusion. The reason I'm not necessarily sticking to the 12% that I told you about earlier is because the shape of this room isn't perfectly square, and it needs more absorption in some areas and more diffusion in other areas. So it's actually going to be maybe about 14 to 15% with absorption and maybe about 16% with diffusion. Okay, so that is where I'm at right now. I still have a lot more gear coming in, and when that gear comes in, I think this room will be functional, maybe not finished, in just a few days. I'm also trying to build a business right now, and that's causing some stress because a lot of things are up in the air about, the manufacturer and the supplier. But once I have, once that comes to fruition and I have more solid answers, I'm going to share it here on the channel about what I've been working on. Another thing is I'm actually moving to Houston just for a few months. Now don't worry, this room will still be here and still functional, and I'll be uploading just as much, if not a lot more. But I'm gonna go work for my buddy Chris, that home theater dude, for a few months, and that'll open up things financially, and by proximity I'll have my hands on some cool equipment. I'll get a chance to put my money where my mouth is and sell to you guys directly. So keep an eye out for that. Another thing that I really want to do is open my home up to you guys. So once this community starts building and we get more followers and more people join, I think I'm going to try to host maybe sometime next year and just have as many people as I can over to experience this room and put my money again where my mouth is. So keep a lookout, keep watching, and just thank you for being here.